Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are diving deep into a set of ideas that are making some serious waves in universities, and really everywhere. It's called decolonial theory. Now, the people who champion this theory say it reveals a kind of hidden operating system that's been secretly running our world for the last 500 years. So yeah, let's get into it. So it all kicks off with a question that's probably on your mind right now. The big European empires? They're gone. Most countries have had their independence for decades. So why on earth is a theory about colonialism suddenly so important? Isn't this all ancient history? Well, decolonial thinkers have a pretty provocative answer to that. They'd say that what looked like the end of colonialism was, well, it was really just a change in management. All right, so to really unpack this, here's our game plan. First up, we're going to tackle that big question. Is colonialism really over? Then we'll get into the master concept behind all of this, the coloniality of power. After that, we'll look at 4 specific ways this colonial matrix still shapes our world. Then we'll ask if all this is sparking a decolonial revolution in research. And finally, we'll get into some of the really tough critiques and complications. It's a journey, but stick with me. So let's get right to it. Is colonialism actually a thing of the past? According to decolonial theory, the answer is a hard no. But to get why they say that, we have to make a really crucial distinction between 2 words that sound similar but mean very different things. Okay, so on the one hand, you've got colonialism. You should think of this as the history textbook stuff, the direct rule, the foreign flags flying over government buildings, the colonial administrators. And yeah, for the most part, that historical period is over. But on the other hand, you have coloniality. And this right here is the absolute core idea. Coloniality is the enduring system of power that colonialism built and left behind. The administration might be gone, but the social hierarchies, the cultural values, even the way we're taught to think about the world, they remain deeply embedded. You see, getting independence doesn't automatically mean you've achieved decoloniality. So how do we actually wrap our heads around this lingering system? That brings us to the master concept of decolonial theory. It's like a special lens that helps us see this hidden structure. It's called the coloniality of power, and it's a term we owe to the brilliant Peruvian sociologist Aníbal Quijano. His argument was that colonialism didn't just conquer lands. It created a whole new global social order, a system for classifying and ranking people. And that system, that social order, didn't just pack up and disappear when the colonizers went home. Quijano says it continues to operate today, shaping everything from the global economy to how we see ourselves. Now, here's what's so fascinating. Quijano breaks this down. The coloniality of power isn't just one thing. It operates in at least 3 interconnected ways. First, racially. The very idea of race as we know it was a colonial invention, a tool to create a ladder that put Europeans at the top to justify controlling everyone else. Second, epistemologically. Now I know that's a big academic word, but it just means how we know what we know. It's all about knowledge. Colonial powers basically dismissed indigenous ways of understanding the world, their science, their medicine, their philosophies, as primitive superstition. And in its place, they installed European knowledge as the only valid way to know anything. And third, socioculturally. Things like colonial ideas about family, gender, and what success looks like became deeply embedded in these societies, often pushing aside very different indigenous traditions. Okay, so if this coloniality of power is some kind of invisible matrix running in the background, how do we actually start to see it? Well, let's move on and look at 4 key concepts that decolonial thinkers use to make this hidden system visible. The first one is a big one, Eurocentrism. And this usually isn't about someone consciously thinking Europe is the best. It's a much deeper, often unconscious bias that just assumes European history is world history, and that European ideas are the universal default that everyone else should be measured against. And you have definitely encountered this. I mean, think about it. When you open a textbook on philosophy or sociology, who are you reading? Almost always it's Marx, Kant, Plato, all European men. The entire story of progress, the Industrial Revolution, democracy, human rights, It's usually told as this great European invention that was then generously given to the rest of the world. And check out this wild example. The world's leading institution for studying tropical medicine is in London. London! It's this living relic of the British Empire, where knowledge about the colonies was pulled out and stored back in the imperial center. This leads right into our second concept, and it's a powerful and pretty tragic one. Epistemicide. Boaventura de Sousa Santos coined this term. It literally means the killing of knowledge systems. Just let that sink in for a second. When one way of knowing, the Western scientific model, is held up as the only valid one, then entire philosophies, languages, medical traditions, whole ways of being human are just pushed aside, devalued, and eventually they're lost. This quote really nails it. The system gives special treatment to knowledge from the old colonial powers. So what does that actually look like today? Well, here's a real-world example. Every year, super bright students from India travel to the UK to attend the world-famous School of Oriental and African Studies. And what do they study? Often, it's the history and politics of India. They learn about their own country in English using European theories. The very fact that the best place to learn about India is supposedly in London just reinforces that old colonial knowledge hierarchy. That right there is epistemicide in action. Our third concept is subalternity, a term really developed by the theorist Gayatri Chakravorty Spivak. Now, the subaltern isn't just a fancy word for oppressed. It refers to groups who are so pushed to the margins that they're structurally shut out of the dominant conversations in society. Their worldview is basically rendered invisible. To even have a chance of being heard, they first have to learn to speak the language and use the logic of the very system that sidelines them. And our fourth concept really flips our standard history class on its head. It's called modernity/coloniality. See, we're usually taught that modernity, the age of reason, science, progress, was this amazing European achievement that, unfortunately sometimes led to colonialism. Well, Quijano argues the complete opposite. He says modernity was born from the colonization of the Americas. That it was only by conquering and exploiting a colonial other that Europeans could even invent the idea of themselves as uniquely modern. They're not separate things, they are two sides of the exact same coin. You can't have the progress without the domination. So these are some huge paradigm-shifting ideas. But are they just that, ideas floating around in academia? Or are they actually causing a real-world revolution in places like universities? Let's take a look at how these theories are actively reshaping research right now. And using the word revolution is not an exaggeration here. The Australian sociologist Raewyn Conall actually describes the impact of decolonial thinking as a full-on revolution inside social theory. It's forcing scholars to question the very bedrock of their fields of study. And we can see this revolution playing out in two big ways. First, there's a big push for that epistemic diversity we talked about. So instead of only relying on the classic European thinkers, researchers are actively looking for concepts and philosophies from non-Western and indigenous traditions. Second, we're seeing global research become, normal. The study of communities in Africa or Asia or Latin America isn't just some fringe specialty anymore. It's becoming a central part of mainstream sociology, studied on its own terms. Let's look at a really great example of this epistemic diversity in practice. Many of you have probably heard the term Ubuntu. It's a philosophy from Southern Africa, and it's often translated as I am because we are. It's this beautiful idea that our humanity isn't something we possess as isolated individuals, but something that is created through our relationships and our responsibilities to other people. I mean, that is a profound challenge to the intense individualism at the heart of so much Western thought. And here's where it gets incredibly powerful. Thinkers like the great Archbishop Desmond Tutu took this concept even further to what he called eco-Ubuntu. He argued that the logic of I am because you are just naturally extends to our relationship with the environment. It becomes we are because the planet is. This gives us a completely different moral foundation for tackling huge crises like climate change, one that's rooted in community and shared responsibility, not just individual rights or a cold cost-benefit analysis.
Okay, but this revolution is not happening without pushback and some really tricky complications. So for our final section, it is so important that we treat this not as some settled fact, but as a live, messy, and often very heated debate.
One of the biggest critiques you'll hear is about the gap between symbolic actions and actual material demands. So on one side, you have these campaigns to decolonize the curriculum, adding more diverse authors to reading lists, challenging Eurocentric ideas, and those things are important. But critics are asking, okay, but what about the material stuff? What about the repatriation of indigenous land and life? They argue that all this talk is nice, but it's cheap if actual land, resources, and sovereignty aren't being returned. This whole critique is captured perfectly in this now famous line from the scholars Eve Tuck and Kailin Yang. Decolonization is not a metaphor. Their point is that when we start using the word decolonize to mean just about anything, like decolonizing your bookshelf or your diet, it risks becoming a meaningless buzzword. It can let people, especially in settler colonial states like the US or Canada or Australia, feel like they're doing something radical without ever having to engage in the truly difficult work of returning land and power. Another huge danger that critics point to is something called neo-nativism. In the effort to push back against Eurocentrism, there's a real risk of romanticizing some kind of pure pre-colonial past that never really existed. Those societies were complex, often with their own brutal hierarchies, like the caste system in India. And this idealized past can get weaponized by modern nationalist movements, like the Hindutva movement, to push a really aggressive and exclusionary political agenda. It also helps to hide the uncomfortable fact that a country can be both post-colonial and a colonizer at the same time, which is what some argue is happening with India's relationship to Kashmir. And that brings us to our final big question. Decolonial theory has given us this incredibly powerful new lens for seeing the world. But will it be a tool for real, tangible, material change? Or will it be tamed, turned into a symbolic gesture, and co-opted by the very universities and systems it was designed to critique? Honestly, the debate is raging right now, and where it all goes from here is anyone's guess.